I eased out of bed, careful not to wake Alex or our 7-month-old daughter Lily. Today was the day we had been eagerly anticipating, the day we would embark on a trip to Mexico. It wasn't just a vacation, it was a celebration of several milestones. My dad's 60th birthday, my brother's birthday, and most significantly, a delayed honeymoon for Alex and me. As I tiptoed into the kitchen, the silence of the early morning felt like a blanket, comforting yet heavy with unspoken thoughts. The air was filled with a mix of excitement and an undercurrent of tension, a tension that stemmed from a conversation that had happened weeks ago. When we first announced our trip, Alex's family, especially his mother, had taken it with a forced smile. "Mexico, with your family?" she had asked, her voice tinged with a restraint that didn't go unnoticed. It was clear she was upset that Lily's first trip wasn't with them. I poured myself a cup of coffee, the aroma blending with my swirling thoughts. This trip was supposed to be a joyous occasion, a much-needed break from the everyday routines, and a chance for our little family to create new memories. Yet, the shadow of disapproval from Alex's side of the family lingered, casting a pall over our excitement. I heard Lily's soft babbling from her crib, pulling me from my reverie. As I picked her up, her smile was a reminder of the joy that lay at the heart of our trip. "We're going on an adventure, little one," I whispered, nuzzling her cheek. She responded with a gurgle of delight, unaware of the adult complexities that shadowed our departure. I spent the morning in a flurry of activity, double-checking our packing list. Passports, check. Tickets, check. Reservations, check. Everything was in place for our Mexican escape. This trip wasn't just a holiday. It was a milestone, a chance to finally have something that resembled the honeymoon Alex and I never got to enjoy. But as I zipped up the last suitcase, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my mother, and I felt a knot form in my stomach. Her words were brief, but their implication was clear. Alex's mother had called her, expressing her disappointment about our trip, an opening salvo in what promised to be a series of emotional confrontations. I sighed, looking at Lily's beaming face. "Looks like we're not just escaping to Mexico, my love," I said to her, half-heartedly smiling. "We're also escaping a family drama." As the sun finally rose, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I realized that this trip would be more than a celebration. It would be a test of our resilience as a family, a defiance against unsaid expectations, and a statement of our independence. I steeled myself for the challenges ahead, determined to protect the joy and sanctity of our long-awaited escape. 2 days before our departure, my phone rang, displaying my mother's number. I answered, expecting a quick chat about our travel plans, but her tone immediately signaled that this was no ordinary conversation. "Hi, Mom. Is everything okay?" I asked, sensing her unease. "It's about your trip," she began hesitantly. "I just got off the phone with Alex's mom. She seemed, well, upset." My heart sank. The last thing I wanted was more drama around our vacation. "What happened?" "She mentioned that her sister, Alex's aunt, is making a surprise visit to the country. She arrives the day you leave for Mexico," my mom explained. I frowned. The timing couldn't be more inconvenient. "And let me guess, she thinks we should cancel our trip to welcome her?" My mom sighed. She didn't say it outright, but she heavily implied it. She mentioned how it would be disrespectful not to be here for her sister's arrival. Anger and frustration bubbled up inside me. It felt like a manipulative move to guilt us into canceling a trip we had planned for months. "Mom, this trip is important to us. It's not just a vacation, it's a celebration of so many things." "I know, dear," I told her that. "But you know how she is. She's making it about family obligations." After ending the call, I relayed the conversation to Alex. His expression was a mix of frustration and resignation. "I can't believe she'd go this far," he said, shaking his head. "We've been planning this for so long. Why can't they just be happy for us?" We discussed our options, but deep down we both knew we weren't going to cancel our trip. "We should stand our ground, Alex. We deserve this time together," I said firmly. Alex nodded, his jaw set. "I agree. We'll talk to my mom tonight. We can't let her guilt us into changing our plans." That evening, the conversation with Alex's mother was as tense as expected. Her words were laced with disappointment and thinly veiled guilt trips. "It's just unfortunate timing," she lamented. "Family should be there for each other." "We've been looking forward to this trip for months, Mom," Alex countered. We can't just cancel everything last minute." The call ended with a heavy silence. As we prepared for bed, Alex wrapped his arms around me. "No matter what, we're going on this trip," he whispered. "We need this, for us, for our family." I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. It wasn't just about escaping to a beautiful destination anymore. It was about standing up for our choices, our little family, and the life we were building together. As I drifted off to sleep, I knew that the upcoming journey would be about more than just physical travel. It would be a journey of asserting our independence and prioritizing our happiness, despite the challenging family dynamics. The morning of our departure arrived with a sense of urgency. I awoke before the alarm, my mind racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Today we were leaving for Mexico, but the air was thick with unspoken tensions and last-minute worries. As Alex and I moved around the house in a well-rehearsed dance of preparation, I couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. Despite our determination, the weight of his mother's words still hung heavily over us. Alex seemed quieter than usual, his usual easygoing nature overshadowed by the family conflict. Lily, oblivious to the adult complexities, gurgled happily in her high chair. Her innocence was a stark contrast to the complicated web of emotions we were navigating. As I fed her, I caught Alex's eye, and we shared a moment of silent understanding. No matter what, we needed this trip. The car ride to the airport was a blur. We talked little, each lost in our thoughts. The usually bustling streets were eerily quiet in the early morning, mirroring the quietness in our car. As we checked in our luggage and made our way through security, the reality of our departure began to sink in. We were doing this. We were actually leaving, not just for a vacation, but also from the expectations and pressures of family. Boarding the plane, I felt a mix of relief and defiance. We had stood our ground, chosen our path. As the plane taxied down the runway, I looked out the window, watching the familiar cityscape give way to open skies. It felt symbolic, like we were leaving behind not just the city, but also the constraints and conflicts that had threatened to overshadow our trip. Once we were airborne, the tension began to ebb away. Alex took my hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "We made it," he whispered, and I nodded, feeling a weight lift off my chest. As I watched Lily, now asleep in my lap, I thought about the journey ahead. This trip was more than just a physical journey to a new destination. It was a journey towards asserting our family's independence, a declaration that our little unit's needs and happiness were just as important. I leaned back in my seat, closing my eyes. The hum of the plane was soothing, a gentle reminder that we were moving forward, both literally and metaphorically. This trip was our escape, our adventure, and our statement of autonomy. And no matter what awaited us upon our return, I knew we had made the right choice. For now, it was time to leave the discord behind and look forward to the sun, the sea, and the precious moments we would share as a family in Mexico. The flight to Mexico was a mix of quiet reflection and subdued excitement. As I gazed out of the airplane window at the clouds below, I thought about the journey we had embarked upon. It wasn't just a physical journey to a new place, but a journey of asserting our family's independence and choosing our happiness over familial pressures. Lily, wrapped snugly in a blanket, slept peacefully in my arms. Alex, sitting beside me, was lost in a book, though I could tell his mind was elsewhere. The trip had become a symbol of our commitment to our little family, a commitment that came with its own set of challenges. The plane's gentle hum provided a backdrop to my thoughts. I reflected on the past few months, the planning, the anticipation, and the unexpected hurdles. It struck me how this trip, meant to be a simple family vacation, had evolved into something much more significant. It was a statement, a declaration of our family's right to celebrate and enjoy life on our terms. As the flight progressed, Alex and I engaged in sporadic conversation, discussing our plans for the trip. We talked about the beaches we would visit, the food we were excited to try, and the birthday celebrations we had planned. Despite the earlier tensions, our spirits lifted with each passing hour, the promise of joy and relaxation slowly replacing the stress and conflict we had left behind. When we finally landed in Mexico, the warm air greeted us like a gentle embrace. The vibrant colors, the sounds, the lively atmosphere of the airport, everything felt like a welcome respite from the cold, calculated interactions of the past few days. We navigated through the airport, Lily now awake and looking around with wide-eyed wonder. Her excitement was contagious, and I felt a surge of joy. This was what the trip was all about: creating memories, experiencing new things together, and enjoying the beauty of life away from the constraints of routine and expectations. The taxi ride to our hotel was a visual feast. Mexico's natural beauty, combined with its rich cultural tapestry, was mesmerizing. Alex pointed out landmarks, and we discussed the places we wanted to explore during our stay. Checking into our hotel, I felt a sense of accomplishment. We had made it. Despite the challenges, we were here, in this beautiful country, ready to celebrate and make the most of our time together. That night, as we settled into our room, the sound of the ocean in the distance, I realized that this trip was a turning point for our family. It was a testament to our strength and unity. It was about choosing joy and adventure over compliance and obligation. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt grateful. Grateful for the journey, for the lessons learned, and for the beautiful days ahead. This trip was our escape, our adventure, and in many ways our rebirth as a family. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with love, independence, and the promise of many more adventures to come. Our first morning in Mexico greeted us with a brilliant sunrise, casting a golden glow over the serene beach. The sound of the waves crashing gently against the shore was a soothing contrast to the inner turmoil we had experienced just days before. As I stood on the balcony, coffee in hand, watching the early rays of sun dance on the water, I felt a deep sense of peace. Today was the first of many celebrations. We had planned a small beachside party for my dad's 60th birthday. The joy of organizing this event with my family was a welcome distraction from the recent discord. As the day progressed, the beach transformed into a festive scene. My family, ever so vibrant and full of life, brought laughter and music to the shores. Watching my dad with a wide smile, surrounded by his grandchildren, including a curious Lily, was heartwarming. Alex, who had been a bit withdrawn since our departure, slowly began to unwind, his laughter mingling with the others. In these moments, surrounded by love and celebration, the issues with Alex's family seemed distant, almost trivial. Yet they lingered in the back of my mind, a reminder of the conversation that awaited us upon our return. The day turned into evening, and the party continued under a canopy of stars. The warm night air was filled with the sounds of music, chatter, and the gentle lapping of the waves. As I watched the family interact, a mixture of emotions washed over me. There was happiness and gratitude for the present moment, but also a contemplative realization of the complexities of family dynamics. Later, as Lily slept soundly in her portable crib, Alex and I took a walk along the beach. The sand felt cool under our feet, and the rhythmic sound of the sea was calming. "We needed this," Alex said, breaking the silence. "Not just the vacation, but the distance. It's given me a lot to think about." I nodded, understanding his sentiment. It's not easy, standing up to family, but I think we're learning how to prioritize our own little unit. He squeezed my hand. "I know, and I'm sorry for the added stress my family caused. It's just complicated." "It is," I agreed, "but we're navigating it together. That's what matters." We stood there for a while, just watching the waves. This trip was more than a celebration. It was a journey of self-discovery and strengthening our bond as a family. It was about finding our balance, understanding our priorities, and acknowledging that while family ties are important, they should not come at the cost of our happiness and well-being. As we headed back to the hotel, I felt a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. Our trip was halfway through, but the lessons we were learning would last a lifetime. The upcoming days promised more celebration, exploration, and most importantly, the opportunity to further solidify our family's bond. Our final days in Mexico were a blend of relaxation and bittersweet anticipation of the journey home. We explored, laughed, and savored each moment, creating a tapestry of memories that I knew would sustain us in the days to come. As we packed our bags on the last night, a sense of accomplishment filled me. We had done it, not just the vacation, but also taking a stand for our family's happiness. The flight back was a quiet affair. Each of us, lost in our thoughts, reflecting on the trip and the inevitable reality that awaited us. Lily, ever the source of joy, played contentedly, unaware of the complexities of the adult world. Landing back home brought a mix of emotions. There was the comfort of familiarity, but also an undercurrent of apprehension about facing Alex's family. We were determined to hold on to the peace and unity we had found in Mexico, but the looming confrontation was undeniable. The next day, we invited Alex's mother over for coffee, a gesture to bridge the gap and address the underlying issues. The conversation was tentative at first, with polite inquiries about our trip, but soon the real discussion began. "Mom," Alex started, his voice steady, "we need to talk about what happened before we left." His mother sighed, a look of resignation on her face. "I know I may have overstepped, but I was hurt that you chose to go on this big trip without considering our feelings." I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "We understand your feelings, but this trip was important for us. It was about more than just a vacation. It was about celebrating milestones in our life, and we needed to do it our way." There was a pause, a moment of understanding, before she spoke. "I see that now. I suppose I was just feeling left out, but I should have respected your decision." The air felt lighter as the conversation continued, moving towards a more positive dialogue. We talked about setting boundaries, respecting each other's choices, and the importance of communication. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a start, a step towards a healthier relationship. As she left, there was a sense of mutual respect that hadn't been there before. Alex and I looked at each other, a silent acknowledgement of the progress we had made. In the days that followed, life returned to its usual rhythm, but with a newfound sense of clarity. The trip had not only been a physical journey, but an emotional one as well. We had learned the importance of standing up for our family's needs, the value of open communications, and the strength that comes from facing challenges together. As I watched Lily play, her laughter filling the room, I realized that this trip had been a defining moment for our family. It was a reminder that while we can't control every aspect of our relationships with extended family, we can choose how we respond and grow from these experiences. Our Mexican escape had been more than just a celebration. It was a journey of love, resilience, and understanding. It was a testament to the fact that while family dynamics can be complex, the heart of family is about love, respect, and the willingness to navigate the highs and lows together, the highs and lows together, the highs and lows